Da 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 da. Boop, boop, wow, wow. Alrighty, yaddy, 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 yaddy. What's poppin', people? What is poppin'? Where are the pops at? Do 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 do. Ba da ba ba bow. Oh, wow. Okay, so sorry guys. Let me finish getting things touched up here, and we will get things rolling. How's everyone's Thursday been? Hopefully your Thursdays have all been great. I know mine was pretty solid today. My first, I would say what am I going on my first month returning to work? I would say it's been pretty easy so far. I haven't missed a beat. I stepped right in and job's been exactly the same as it was a couple years ago, which is nice. Not really stepping into anything crazy. Hey, Odin and Salty's in chat. Odin says, "Hey there, Chaz. What's up, Odin? How are you? Welcome, welcome." I'm just chilling, doing some stuff. Just got myself a burger, potato wedges, and a tea. You went live at a good time, says Odin and Salty. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I try to. Hopefully, you guys aren't totally bothered by this new streaming schedule in terms of timing. I was really enjoying the previous times we were streaming, which is what, like 5:30, 6 o'clock. But of course, returning back to normal work life, my nights have kind of extended out just a little bit. So hopefully, you guys don't mind starting a little later. Hopefully, it actually is beneficial. Moving things up. What, like, I feel like I hop on like 2 hours later now, pretty much. Okay, so hey, Veronica Rose and Skylar Twilight just joined. What's up, y'all? How do I exist and currently exploded? Says Skylar. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Enter ChazmaN here, back with another week of Enter ChazmaN Live. This is my weekly opportunity to kind of chillax with you guys and just watch some videos or talk about what I got going on. Kind of just hanging out with y'all. We had a lot of fun last night. What did we hopped on the Discord and watched Attack on Titan, which was totally fun. I feel like we watched, how many episodes? We probably watched maybe 5 episodes or something of that, like that. Maybe 5 or 6. We got to a really good part. Where did we get to? We left off at basically what you would call maybe season 2. We saw like the big hairy Titan or something like that. Or he was like intelligent or something. It was kind of neat. That was like the very last thing we saw was him. A very interesting character design, I might say. Now the only question is he a Titan that's still being manned by a human, or is he just or is he his own like being or existential being? Is he something created or something? Well, we'll see. Scott Twice says, I don't remember, but I just know we got to the start of season 2. I feel like 3, because we had to catch up LMAO. The Beast Titan. Oh, is that okay? Beast Titan. I guess that makes sense. He looks fairly beasty. If you guys want to know what we got lined up today, I know from the previous week for ChazmaN Live, we ended up going very short because we just ended up watching the Sony State of Play. I did a reaction to that, and then I was fairly tired post that. So I had 2 things I wanted to talk about before then, or during that stream, and didn't get to, so I feel like today's going to be my chance. I have those 2 topics, and then I got 2 videos lined up that I think kind of sound interesting. Well, since we got a lot of our main crowd here, what do we say let's start off with something easy before I dive into talking at length about one of the 2 things. Let's watch one of these random videos that I had pulled up. I guess first off, we'll start off with Penguin Zero. Let's start off with Moist. He had a video that sounded kind of interesting in terms of the title. I already forgot exactly what this is. Oh, I know exactly what this is. So this video has to do with movie theaters. This is a big deal for me. Movie theaters are close to my heart. Not only because I like going to the movies, or used to, but I used to work at a movie theater. I was a manager at a movie theater for several years, so needless to say, movie theaters were something cool. let's go ahead and turn you off. All right, take it away, Moist Critical. Let's see what he's got to say. So yeah, this video is something about, I think it's about AMC and something something. I think it had AI or AMC. If you want to know, I did not work for AMC. I worked several years for Regal. I worked at a Regal movie theater for a bunch of years. I did all sorts of different jobs there. I started out as a basic popcorn maker, I guess, or staff member, I guess is what you would call it. A basic staff member. Then I moved over to become a stock person. Eventually, ended up becoming an associate manager. That was about all I did really there. Didn't really get to progress much further. Like the hair, by the way, says Veronica Rose. Oh, thank you. I for some reason didn't throw a beanie on. I need to. I think what it is I wore the beanies for the longest time because I'm trying to train the hair, but I feel like maybe finally the hair is starting to just naturally stay back. Hopefully it stays like that. I used to have long hair. I had long hair 4 or 5 years ago. That was probably maybe this length or just short, or maybe slightly shorter. And I don't know. I ended up cutting it because I don't remember. And then for years I'm like, I want my hair back. I like having long hair. I just like the look of it. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm Hispanic and the Hispanic blood in me loves seeing the long hair. Hey, Odin Salty says, recently went to Regal to watch Iron Lung. That movie has been going crazy in theaters since release. Maybe I need to watch that eventually. I'm not quite sure when I can, but or maybe that'll be something maybe I'll watch when it comes to video or something. Maybe we can watch it on the Discord eventually. Who knows? All right, so here's the video. Here's Moist Critical. Let's jump in. Let's see what he's got to say about the movie theater chains, in particular AMC.
What note was that? These pipes can hit the most rare of musical notes. And speaking of music, I got some music for your ears right now. I got a wonderful melody. You ever heard of AI? Because man, do we have some great news on that front. AMC's getting experimental. They're putting their grubby little paws into the AI short films.
All right, let's see what he's talking about. Breaking. AMC Theaters has begun screening AI-generated short films. Oh no, this is the total worst thing that could happen with movie theaters. So now people, they're screening other people's AI short films. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Oh man.
Cookie jar, and they are going to be screening AI short films at select theaters before trailers, with potential plans to expand nationwide. Which is exactly what everyone's been begging for. Anyone who's been to the cinema over the last 2 years has probably heard this time and time again. Man, I wish I could watch some AI generated shorts before watching my movie. And finally they're delivering. Better late than never, I always say. Now, if I may be so bold, and far be it from me to question the galaxy brain smarties over there at the old...
Now, I guess I should say no doubt what the movie theater companies and not the movie studios, I should say. I guess something like this would be a logical first next step for them, mainly because the thing you've heard about people saying about making movies and things of the sort for years is that making movies is very hard and very expensive. And to me, I hate to say it, this probably sounds like a logical step for movie theater chains or movie studios. Again, for movie studios and movie theaters to want, because maybe the production costs, well, no, not maybe, the production costs for something AI generated are probably minuscule versus like an actual movie studios, development, just pricing overall. So again, I'm not saying that's good. I think it's terrible. But I'm just saying in terms of the logic behind anticipating, maybe movie studios going down this path, I 100%, I guess I 100% see it. I see why they're doing this, but I hate it and it's terrible. And I 100% think this is going to dilute. I guess you could say that art in general right now is being heavily diluted. Creativity in terms of making music, videos, art. Again, to me, this is just the next step in diluting a form of media, which movies. I mean, we've already seen like, I feel like music hasn't quite gotten there yet, but definitely art. I feel like is there. There's so like it's impossible now to tell if someone has actually drawn or painted or made something. Uh, I think art is probably going to be, at least for now. I think art far and away is like the most affected thing from AI and making, I don't know, creative endeavors and stuff. Boo AMC says Odin is salty. Yeah, Boo AMC. Regal's way better. Not, I don't know. I don't know the status of movie theaters anymore. Last time I went into a movie theater, they had, or it actually was my former Regal. They had the recliners. They had like big fancy recliners that they had put a bunch of money into before I left. And one of the last times I went into the theater and sat in one of the chairs, it was all ripped up and all the leather was like torn off of it, and I'm just like come on, it's terrible. That probably means that like, how is that not something? And it looked like it wasn't just done. It looked like that chair had been sitting there for a while, looking like that. And I'm just like, don't you guys have additional parts or people? I don't know. Again, when I worked at the movie theater, uh, I prefer my short films made by a man. Says Veronica Rose. Man or woman? Come on, Veronica. Man or woman? We should say, or whomever I should say. Right? I'm woke. I'm being my most woke I can be. Man, woman, or whomever, right? That's who I like making my shorts. Oh, where was I going? Oh, when I was a manager, honestly, I remember how it was supposed to function. I'm going down a rabbit hole of explaining how my movie theater worked. We were supposed to have a maintenance person who worked regionally, who like showed up. I think it was like a couple times a month. They were supposed to be there. As it turns out, from what I recall, they were never there. I don't think I ever saw the maintenance guy for like the 7 years I had been there. Um, and it was just ridiculous. Like we were supposed to have maintenance guy who showed up. I don't remember if it was like monthly, bi-monthly, or every month, multiple times a month. I don't even remember what his schedule was, but I never saw the guy in 7 years that I woke there. Or 7 years that I woke there. 7 years that I worked there. I've got woke on the brain already. In the 7 years I worked there, I never once saw the guy. As it turns out, the assistant managers, actually ended up doing all of the maintenance, which is fine. Because honestly, we had more time, than the staff and stuff. So we were the ones who would go there, replace like torn up seating, fix, the recliners if they weren't fully reclining or something like that. We would replace the bulbs in there. We did all of that work, and um, I don't know where I was going with that, but uh, I don't know. I'm just saying that like at least the management was on top of things. From what I've seen the last couple of times I've gone into some of these one of in particular the recliners, I didn't feel like those seats had ever been maintenance. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Moist Critical. I'm talking over you. Forbidden maintenance guy. Enter woke man in 2026. It's never too late to go woke.
Whole AMC think tank, but what the fuck are you smoking? Like, this has got to be an actual, mythical crack pipe that they're passing around over there to think that this is a good idea. If you really wanted to ham fist shorts into the cinema experience before a movie plays, why would you take the plunge with AI shorts to begin with? Something that is universally hated. The only people that like AI animated shorts are like actual single digit smooth brained worms that clap like seals at anything that makes noise. Like, this is so fucking stupid. If you're really hell-bent on bringing shorts into the theater before the movie plays, why not just play actual shorts created by real people and real talent? Like, it's not like shorts are a new thing. These have existed for as long as cameras have. So this isn't some brand new, unheard of thing only made possible thanks to the power of AI. They could have done this whenever they wanted to in the past, and they did.
My thing is yeah, I get what Moist is saying, but like my thing is, uh, I'm trying to think. Did they? Oh gosh, I can't think of the word. It's typically the the word for screen, not screen, playtest. I think playtest. No, I can't think of the word. There's a word for when typical companies like this will bring in people to vote or to test out something that they're working on in like beta form before it comes out, and then based on the reviews of these people that come in and say whether they like it or not, they'll change up or do things. Again, that my point is like, did they get some sort of stats, or do they talk to people who are like, wow, this is something that I'm really looking for in my movie theater experience? Why can't I think of the word? There's this particular, oh gosh, a particular word in terms of like running things by normal people. You'll be like, hey, we'll let you watch this movie before it comes out, the 20 of you people, and we just want you to want you to tell us what it's like or something. Typically they do that for like horror movies and rated R, so that they can gauge, what normal audiences are vibing with or not vibing with. Having actually short films before big films would be a cool idea, as long as it's man-made. Great, Odin, but you know what that means? I hate to break it to you, but I can already maybe Moist is going to mention this, but I can already tell the reason why they're not using man-made is that circumvents a little something called being paid. Again, if you're using man-made things made by fans or people who are submitting works, those people are almost always going to have to be paid for that. Guess who doesn't have to be paid for that? The AI machine that's making these AI movies. I can almost guarantee you that's the purpose why. Maybe Moist Critical is going to mention that here in a second, but it always comes down to money, man. Like you don't have to pay the AI bot to do whatever it's doing. That's just I don't think it's, again, I'm coming at it from the viewpoint of someone who cares about movies and cares about like you're saying, Odin, cares about having normal people being recognized for their works. That isn't how movie studios or large companies in general mostly think anymore. It's not about the creative artsy aspect. It's more about the what can we do to generate the largest amount of revenue by spending the least amount of money. And unfortunately, the more people that you have involved in creating something, that means the more people that have to be paid. So now with this upstart of an up. So now with this larger amount of companies that are going to be utilizing AI, that starts becoming a larger amount of companies that can make things without having to use people, which again, saving money up the wazoo. Imagine they just put up YouTube before the movie says, "Oh, it is salty." No, they wouldn't, because again, say for my channel, say if uh, randomly a movie theater before their movie, they have they use a couple of short form or clips pulled from a bunch of different YouTube channels, and say for some random reason a 10-20 second clip from my channel from some video is used up there. Obviously I'm going to ask, why is this here, and why haven't I been paid for that yet? Which I think that's the logical thing most people would do if they saw their content up there. So uh again, that's to me, that's the whole point of the AI thing, is that's just a worker you don't have to pay.
Dip their toes in occasionally with shorts that play before movies, but I just don't understand why now they want to make this big push for it. My speculation is they're probably getting paid oodles of clams for it, and every single industry is trying desperately to suckle from the titty of AI and anything even AI adjacent. That's my speculation.
Oh, absolutely, Moist. Yeah, that's wise, because you have Anthropic, ChatGPT, what's the Google one? Google fart butt, whatever their AI thing is. All of these companies is because there's such a rush to get the product out there and to make money. That's why there's a, you watch the Super Bowl and there's every third ad is something AI related, and that's why, it's no surprise that they're pushing this stuff as hard as they can.
But I'd like to take this a step further and say that I think the idea of putting even more bloat before your movie plays is terrible. I feel like the people at AMC don't actually watch movies. They don't actually go to the theater and watch movies. I have timed every single experience I have had at the cinema for the last 2 years. So when I sit down, I time from the moment the trailers start to the moment the movie I paid for starts. And the average wait, the average duration of trailers is 21 minutes, but it sometimes gets as high as 30 minutes. So you can wait up to 30 minutes after the posted time for your movie to finally see the movie. It turns what should be only like, 2.5 hour experience into an all day fucking affair because you're just held hostage watching shit that you don't really care about seeing. And now they want to add even more to that.
And I will admit, as someone who used to work in movie theaters, I'm assuming it largely operates the same way. We definitely had people who would come out, request a refund, and go home because there was too many ads before their movies. If you don't think that's a thing, that 100% is a thing. I had to issue and it happened a lot during, like, I would say weekdays in the morning, because you have like your older crowd that is showing up to watch them, and a lot of times it's like an older person who's watching the movie by themselves or something. It happens a lot of people coming out and being like, there's too much ads, why is everything 30 minutes long, I want a refund, I'm going home. That happened a lot. So dude, I'm telling you, bro, what's this Scarlet Twilight? No, that happened quite a bit. I'm telling you, maybe it's because I'm in Florida, and Florida has a huge demographic of old people, but you wouldn't think it, but the movie theater is a people are in such there's a lot of people that are in very bad moods at the movie theater. I would almost say it's like 50-50. I would say 50% of the people that are there are having a blast and are like taking it in, like watching a movie or film that they're really into. And then the other 50% is nothing but people that are just absolutely miserable. And dude, we issued a lot of, I don't think that was a thing until now since Scarlet Twilight. No, that was definitely a thing, issuing refunds because that was probably less common, I would say. Like, maybe I'm exaggerating that by how many times, but I would say, fair, every now and then you'd have somebody come out that's like, there's too many ads. The movie theaters, I want my movie to start, and then they'll get a refund and leave. Although back in the day, we used to not issue as many refunds. We used to try and push complimentary passes. Oh gosh, I remember that, comp passes or complimentary passes. We just had like a big roll, and we would just be like, bing, here you go, come back, you can put this towards some other movie next time. We issued a lot of those. Yeah. Okay, no, there was okay, I was thinking, like, we did have like 3D versus, oh my gosh, we did at the time. I don't even know if 3D movies are still a thing, but when I was working there, 3D was a huge thing. So we did have a difference between like 3D and 2D passes and things of the sort. I'm dating myself. I feel like at the time when I first started, man, we had like half of the theater was 3D movies and half of the theater was 2D. It's crazy, huh? That's probably not a thing anymore. I don't think there's many 3D movies anymore. Gosh, that was such a fad.
That blows my mind. That is so tone deaf and so out of touch. Now, to give you a little more information here, it looks like the AI short that's going to be playing at select theaters is called Thanksgiving Day, an intergalactic tale about a bear and a platypus, and it just won Frame Forward AI Animated Film Festival. Very prestigious. That is coveted. People go their whole lives striving to achieve that accomplishment, being the best AI animated short at Frame Forward. And one of the prizes for winning here is a 2-week national theatrical run for it. And looking at what the experts have to say, this one is a must-watch. This short might be better than the movie that I'm paying tickets for. Thanksgiving Day is a masterclass in original storytelling, a wildly inventive journey that balances sharp satire with unexpected emotional payoff, proving that bold imagination with the tools of AI complement the future of animated filmmaking. That's according to Joel Rudman, president and head of studio for Moose. And then, of course, jurist Neil Paris from Google's 100 Zeros, whatever the fuck that is.
What is these companies? Jurist Neil Paris from Google. Well, it's so obvious. I mean, these guys have ulterior motives. I mean, jurist Neil Paris works for Google. Why would the guy that works for Google not be touting AI? I mean, he's got to try and sell Gemini, right? Like why that's the most obvious. Like why are we caring about your opinion when we know you're advertising Gemini AI? Like come on. And same thing with the guy up top, studio head of what is Moose? Head of Studio Moose. I'm guarantee you if I look into it, there's some ties to AI. I mean, come on.
What the hell? I feel like I just read an Xbox Live gamer tag. Said Thanksgiving Day is an imaginative. Jesus, it made me dyslexic. Thanksgiving Day is an imaginative and funny short showcasing AI's ability to unlock imagination for animated storytelling. Thank God, it's fully unlocked now. Before, it was forbidden. You couldn't tell stories without AI. But thankfully, those are prehistoric times now. That's ancient. Obsolete.
And I feel like I gotta say it, guys. Like, if you don't know about AI cannot create something original. Whether people, like it or not, anything that AI comes up with is not an original idea. What AI does is it takes info from a bajillion different places, and from each of those things, from different places, it's pulling information and it combines information to give you what you're looking for, what you desire. So it again, it doesn't ever create something original. It just mixes together a bajillion things to make something look like it's original. So it's like these people that are like touting the originality and like how unique the stuff that's being created is, it's like it's to me it's just totally disingenuous and I don't like it.
Now, I decided to take a peek at Frame Forward's little trailer here, and I got to be blessed with a little bit of footage of Thanksgiving Day, and wow, I gotta tell you, they're underselling how good it looks.
The future of filmmaking is
let's see it.
unfolding now. Welcome to the Frame Forward AI Film Contest.
Let's see it.
That's the future right there that you're staring down the pipe of, and the future is looking bright. I always find it fucking adorable.
It definitely
that
looks
they
like
say
AI.
directed by or credited as a director for typing in the sentences to the AI generation tools. That is super cute. That's me calling myself a chef every time I make myself a bowl of cereal. Anyway, though, I'll stop yapping on the AMC stuff for now because there's one other thing I want to talk about, and it's
Veronica Rose said also imagination is a thing you nurture, not literally take and frame it as your own. Holy cow, that looks awful, said Scarlet Twilight. Well, it was a very short clip. But yeah, it's like the most obvious, like, oh, that's definitely AI. Like I don't know. I don't know. It didn't look great.
something Matt sent me. Apparently, there is a big video going around about AI camera tools that are being used at like a coffee shop to track the efficiency of their workers as well as monitor behavior of the customers, which is finally some good news here and a positive implementation of AI because people are always demanding more Big Brother.
Hold on. So now I gotta hear that again. Say that again.
Monitor behavior of the customers. Apparently, there is a big video going around about AI camera tools that are being used at like a coffee shop to track the efficiency of their workers as well as monitor behavior of the customers, which is finally some good news here and a positive implementation of AI because people are always demanding more Big Brother.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I want is companies watching me when I don't know they're watching me and trying to learn about everyone's spending habits and what they look at and what they purchase. That's so weird. Hold on. So my thing is why do you as a company and as CEOs or whomever, why do you as analysts need to see footage of people making their decisions and footage of trying to understand. Isn't that what data is for? Like, am I wrong? Is that not what data is for? Is that not when you print up your data sheet, it tells you you have three brands of Snickers or three brands of chocolate bars. You have a Hershey's, a Snickers, and a Butterfinger or something. And then when the Snickers bar sells 100 bars in a day and the Butterfinger bar sells 10 and the other one sells 40 or 50, does that data not tell you that the Snickers bar is the more popular of the three? But you get what I'm saying? Isn't that what data and numbers are supposed to get across? Why do you need to record people making their decisions and doing things? That makes no sense. Like, my guess is to analyze what customers order most of the time and what gets them to stay in the shop. No, but you don't need to record people to figure out what people order most of the time. You, again, when most people, when they ring up something, it'll say combo 1, combo 2, combo 3, and you just have your computers or whatever just say combo 1 has been purchased 10 times today. Combo 2 has been purchased 30 times today. Combo 3 has only been purchased 5 times today. Therefore, combo 2 is the most popular combo. To me, what I'm saying is that I don't believe that this surveillance-like stuff being put into the coffee shop, I don't believe that's there for data. I don't actually believe that that's there to actually analyze what people are saying. What Moise is going to say here, and what because I could already tell what he was going to say, but to me, this is just purely invasive. This is 100% invasive and just companies or whomever just wanting to watch people. I think that's all this is it's just more surveillance based things. I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist on that, but I don't think this sounds like a conspiracy at all. To me, this sounds like it's obvious. Like, this is just surveillance based stuff. This is just, again, 100% invasive, just wanting more eyes on things. Again, when something is purchased, it is like Amazon knows how many copies of Resident Evil 9 have been bought on their website or through their site. Whoever is the data analyst that works high up in Amazon, they know how many of what they're selling of each. You know what I mean? Like, Amazon can tell what's more important, Resident Evil 9 or or pooping simulator, 2026. Between those two games, Pooping Simulator 2026 and Resident Evil 9, they can tell which game is being bought more often than not. That I don't know. Like does Amazon feel like they need to put, well, they don't, I guess that would be a bad example. They don't actually have stores. But like, why would Amazon need to put a camera in a storefront to find out which is more popular, Resident Evil or the poop game? I don't know. This whole thing is very baffling to me.
Breathing down our necks. So this is great, so that way customers know that they are secure, being constantly monitored by the eye in the sky, and employees can be happy knowing that the corporation is watching them every second of every day to ensure their productivity is high enough, so that way they can train AI to replace them in the future.
Let's see. What's a popular item, what attracts them to the atmosphere, and how the employees react. But yeah, it's a waste when there's literally sales right there telling you, says Veronica Rose. But yeah, Veronica, like, that's again, it's another good point is, I think you work at Walmart. It's like, but you don't even need data to tell you what's popular. If I work at Walmart, and I'm looking at a shelf, right? And then I'm looking at the shelf, and there's 5 brands of of 5 brands of milk. There's 5 different brands of milk. There's like, or types of milk. There's the blue label, there's the red label, there's the pink label, a couple other, maybe there's coconut milk or something. If I'm looking at the shelf and all of the four types of the milk are largely there still stocked on the shelf, but the red cap milk is like completely empty or running low. What does that tell me? That tells me that red lid milk is more popular than the other types of milk. Like, why do I need to put a camera in the stock room in the back to watch the Walmart employees? Or why do I need to put a camera in the shelvings to see what people are buying? I know the red carton of milk is selling more than the blue carton of milk because there's more of the red carton of milk, or my employees are stocking the red carton of milk more often than they are the red or the pink or the coconut milk. It's like, come on, people. Come on. Like, you don't need cameras everywhere to figure that out. This whole thing is weird. I mean, not Poopy Simulator. It's got no shot against Resident Evil. Like, am I wrong? Like, am I on crazy pills here? This seems so basic. 100% true. We know what's popular all year round. I've seen us switch. Oh, I think you mean switch brands out for more popular brands. Yeah, exactly. It's obvious, if you're needing to stock a particular thing more often than not, guess what? That means that sells better than everything else.
Now here's the clip that's apparently been going around. You can see Anna's got 20 cups over there, Elena 10 cups, and you also have the
Oh, see, this is how invasive this is getting. So, this is a trial, I guess, for some sort of AI thing that is going to document how long people are sitting there and how productive the employees are. I guess but my thing is why do you need again? Why do you need a camera? Is this not what managers are for? Are managers, like, a manager is supposed to manage? Why are your managers not understanding who is your more productive and least productive employees? Do these people not have a manager there? Like, again, we're making things far more intricate and difficult than it needs to be. Like, and that's why I'm saying this. All of this stuff, it does not make sense. I do not I do not for a second believe that any of this stuff is put in place to actually to actually document anything or to show production or revenue or anything. I believe this is 100% just surveillance stuff. Because again, this is a tiny little coffee shop. This, whoever this is, Elena or whomever this is right here, if she is the manager, it is supposed to be her job to tell who of these people is the more productive ones. Like, why is... Come on, people. Are we doing away with managers? If that... No, but that's not the case, though. I'm telling you. They couldn't just sent a guy to look in there, says Odin is salty. This is kind of creepy for me since I work in local fast food, says Skylar Twilight. I want to say it, but can never seek suspicious activity. Behavior and intuition already cover that. Well, again, it's weird because I'm not saying I disagree with there being a camera there. Like if this store wants to have a camera there, obviously that's legal and that's within the private businesses authorities to have a camera there. My problem is what is happening with this camera. Like, if this camera is just being utilized for security and it's just sitting there and recording just what's happening, that's fine. but is this footage being sent out to some external place so that whomever can watch this? And I don't know. To me, that's just weird. I don't know. And again, my thing is that my problem is always disingenuous and people not being honest. Like again, if you're wanting to be weird in surveillance, whatever, just say it. Stop being, dude. Our government and people that run things are such cowards with how they function and how they do things. It's, you know what I mean. I don't. All right, I'm not getting political. I'm about to go down a rabbit hole. I want to say, okay, I just read that.
Time that
Sorry,
the
Moist. I
customers
keep
have
cutting
been
you off.
there, I suppose, on their computers, fiddling around, sitting around. And the idea here is, from a corporation perspective, they can look at what employees are working real hard and no doubt reward them. You know, companies do love to do that. But on the flip side of that, unfortunately, you know, Olga over there's only got 3 cups. So maybe they're thinking about letting her go. Maybe they'll fire her because her cup efficiency isn't what it should be compared to someone like Anna.
But gosh, I keep pausing it. But again, that's what a manager is there for. Is a manager is supposed to watch these people and determine Olga is not productive and her behind needs to join unemployment. You know what I mean? That is this lady right here's job, or whomever Elena is. I'm assuming that's a manager. What is the point in appointing Elena or whomever a manager if she's not managing anything? And then also another way most companies determine which employees are your best ones are based on what customers say. Like when did we do away with customers? I mean, if you have 10 customers come up and say Anna is a great employee, thank you so much, Anna, and nobody comes up and says anything good about Olga, okay, that means Anna is getting more compliments. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm telling you, this is being made way more difficult than it needs to be. Having it for security, totally fine. Somehow I have info on long customers have been there is so odd, says Skylar. Yeah, very weird. Um, and then it's also like, but oh, sorry. Worst part is the reward for being a good employee in these types of places is probably pocket lint as pay these days. It's giving the dark web, like people who access cameras with low security, to creep in on people. My thing is like, why? What is the purpose of knowing how long people have been there for? Like seriously, what are you getting from knowing that this person's been here for an hour 15? Are you wondering why they're there? Because I can tell you why they're there. They're there because she's hanging out with whomever this is and they're on their laptops. I don't need a computer, or I don't need a camera telling me why they're there. I can tell why they're there. If you're unhappy that these people are here for an hour, maybe you shouldn't have any Wi-Fi and ban people from taking laptops into the coffee shop. Again, why are you trying to figure out why these people, or how long these people are here for? What does it matter? What really? What does it matter? I don't know.
Who's really putting her best foot forward here. Now, buckle your seatbelt because things get a little weird and wacky here. So it's referred to as Neurospot Barista Staff Control and Customer Monitoring Module, something like that. And when you look up Neurospot to try and get information on this technology, you find this, a speech therapy platform called Neurospot. And if you dig a little bit deeper, you find this exact same video posted onto Reddit 2 years ago with people speculating that it's not real and it's actually just a bunch of baloney and it's more of like a conceptual piece, not like an actual tool that's being implemented or anything like that. But then when you go a step further, it was like the 3rd page of Google for me, I found this website. It's sparksnet.com/blog, Neurospot CCTV AI video analytics, turning surveillance into smart strategy. And this site it's peculiar. Something fishy is afoot here.
Sadly, these cameras will probably become more common in the future, probably to track people's activity for all sorts of things. I'm also thinking these cameras will probably be used to catch criminals as well, but it's probably for more than just that. Um, I would like to think on a good, in a perfect world, that is what it would ideally be used for, is maybe just following criminals, but I don't. You can forgive me for being nihilistic or cynical. I don't believe that's what it's for. Um, I truly believe that the main reason why companies and why governments largely do things like this is they're testing the waters. There is literally no point to, or I don't say no point, but there's no true reason why they're doing something like this. What they're doing is they're testing the waters of how much people are willing to deal with and whether people care. Unfortunately, this is something largely that many governments and uh, uh, um, whomever, whomever the powers that be, test the waters a lot. And it's just to see what you are willing to deal with. It's to see whether people like this or not. Or not even that people like this. It's whether to see people notice it and care about it or not. And again, I don't necessarily believe there is anything here. I just think this is them just being like, well, let's see if anyone cares or if this does anything. And most likely nobody will care.
So when you read it, it's very clear that a lot of this feels chat GPT generated, not legitimate. But then when you go down here for like how Neurospot works, brains behind the lens. At the center of Neurospot is video intelligence powered by AI. Here's what it can do: facial recognition, not who came into the building, but real-time monitoring of attendance, VIP customer identification, or access control. Object and behavior detection: spot a weapon, detect suspicious loitering, alert on a fall, or identify someone entering a restricted area. Audio analytics: hearing a breaking glass or raised voice, Neurospot listens and alerts you. Predictive analysis: it doesn't just show you what's happening, it tells you what might happen next based on historical trends, actually doing like a fucking Minority Report thing there. Natural language interaction: want to ask, show me all incidents from last Tuesday between 2 to 4 p.m.? Neurospot understands and responds. This is not a watch and wait tool, it's a proactive partner in your day-to-day operations. So basically, you get a fucking Tony Stark Jarvis. And then down here is where things, I think,
Again, this is all it's all gobbledygook. Like, I'm telling you guys, so at the center of power, here's what it can do: facial recognition, monitoring of attendance. Monitoring of attendance? You mean of your employees? What do you mean monitoring of attendance? You know your employee is there based on when they clock in and whether the other employees interact with them or not. Again, like, what are we doing? Like, what do you mean monitoring of attendance? You know your employees there, they've clocked in. Their work is being done or not being done based on them being there or not being there. I don't know. VIP customer identification. Okay, when would that ever be? Okay, I'm just gonna go. I could go on all day. When would that ever be a thing? What company would really utilize that for something important? Access control. Access control for what? What are you accessing? What are you gonna put this thing over a bank door or something? And the bank door only opens for a specific person. I That's the only thing that makes sense, is like a door access. Spot a weapon, detect suspicious loitering, alert on a fall. Okay, I mean, there's one. It's not even that hard to find an employee that's not working. I can literally tell you who's my current op right now, says Veronica. Okay, so here's one that I found. I actually found one that's useful. Alert on a fall. So maybe you can put one of these things up in a nursing home or something, and if a senior citizen falls and almost dies breaking their hips, this automatically determines a fall's happened, call the cops. There's one. There's one little thing I see that's helpful. Detect suspicious loitering. Okay, maybe I can see some spot a weapon. I guess I could see some for some of this could be helpful. Someone entering a restricted area. Okay, so I would say object and behavior detection is the only section so far that I feel like, okay, I could kind of see some ways that this could be helpful. Um, Hear a breaking glass or raised voice. I don't like the idea of neurospot listening. Oh, predictive analysis, that's stupid. Um,
You get a fucking Tony Stark Jarvis. And then down here is where things, I think, go real cattywampus real quick. Neurospot is not just for big tech firms or high security buildings, its smart analytics cater to a wide range of industries. Hospitals track table occupancy in real time. Track table occupancy in real time? Like, what, in the cafeteria of a hospital? Okay, maybe. Monitor plate presentation and cleanliness. Again, that feels like it's not the most pressing concern when it comes to hospitals. I don't think you'd care that much to be checking the cameras looking for plate cleanliness in the hospital cafeteria. Analyze customer mood and football. Is that important in hospitals? The customer's mood and football? Also,
they
let's
misspelled
assume that
analyze.
this is a big
Didn't they?
misunderstanding. A big
Isn't analyze? Why is analyze spelled with an S? Isn't it supposed to be a Z? Am I wrong? Maybe did I forget how to spell?
typo. They meant to put this in the sports bar section for why people would want the Neurospot CCTV AI tool. How is it analyzing football? What is it analyzing? Is it going to give you
Analyzing
like probability in order for you to help make educated polymarket gambling? Like, what do you mean it's analyzing football? I'm very confused on that. I truly can't understand what that could possibly be. And then, of course, they're pitching it in schools so you can track all of the kids. You can even detect bullying and unusual student behavior. Wow. Then back into healthcare, separate from hospitals. This is for patient activity, fall detection, PPE compliance, wait times, ensuring staff are following hygiene. You can use it in warehousing, banking, and retailing. So why are businesses devoted to Neurospot? Are they devoted to Neurospot? Because again, I was struggling to find any evidence of it even existing.
Where's Johnny Silverhand when we need him? Says Odin is salty.
I couldn't find anything to confirm that it was real. And this website is odd to begin with. From SparkNets, this whole thing just already doesn't even feel legit. This feels so shady. I don't understand. And like, I haven't fully navigated it, but products, when you click products, it doesn't work. When you go to blogs, it just takes you to like these generic garbage things about, helping people understand health better without replacing doctors, like how AI is,
Zero
working in
comments.
tandem with doctors.
You got 0 comments on all of those.
The whole thing just is so weird. About Us also doesn't work, which bodes really well. And then Home, which takes you to the an innovative AI agency spiel that they dump on you here.
This is the most AI made. The most AI made website I think I've ever seen.
I'm really skeptical
it's like they didn't even try.
Neurospot is actually a real thing, because I just don't really trust this, so I don't even think that what is in that video, what's presented in that video, is a real tool. Feels like it's just a fake piece, especially when you really stop to look at it. Why? Here, let me go full cam. Why would the tool have the squiggly lines to track customer and employee movement?
What happened to your camera?
That's fucking worthless
His
because if
face
you're
is like so stretched. Is that my camera or is that his camera that did that? Oh, it's his video. Look how thin his face is now. He got stretched.
running this 24/7, at the end of the day, every day, the screen is going to be nothing but squiggly lines from all the people that have been moving around. You're not going to get any valuable data out of that in the first place. I just don't think it's real. But what I do know is real and what I can find evidence on is, and this dates back like a decade from some of the stuff I was reading, some bigger corporations at like their warehouse spaces and such do have tools that they use to monitor employee productivity, I guess for the sake of trying to find who's, being productive enough and who needs to be fired for slacking, that kind of thing. We measure their productivity so that way we can always be firing the ones that don't live up to our standards. Doesn't everyone want to help corporation by being productive? This is for your own good, so now we have to track every single thing you do. Couldn't help but notice through our tools that your heart rate never exceeded 120 BPM. That demonstrates a lack of enthusiasm and excitement. It seems like this job's not stimulating enough for you. Take a hike. You fucking scram. Get out of here. So, I do find evidence that some companies have tools to monitor employee behavior. I haven't found evidence that it's these tools, the NeuroSpot and what we see there. But I also am 100% certain that companies will be looking to integrate AI into their monitoring to collect data on customers and to track their employees and to train AI off of their employees so that way they can replace them with AI to save them money on their bottom line long term. That I know is coming if it's not here already. I just am not convinced.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Moist. Really appreciate your video there. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Moist. I don't believe any of this stuff about data actually being used or put towards anything of substance. I think this is all just, let's do this and see if people care or if they complain at all, and if they don't, then we will push it further in the future. I sorry to say, I mean, I hate to be so doom and gloom about it, but just more surveillance state stuff, more George Orwell type things. All right, so that's that. Why don't we finally? Oh, we are over an hour on the first video. That was not a video I meant to be. I did not think that was going to turn into anything crazy. All right, so what should we talk about next? I guess real quick, do we have some music on? We do. So real fast, I did get to watch something. Who out there had got the chance to watch some Fallout Season 2? So yes, I did, or if they keep watching me, I'm gonna go live in the woods, says Veronica Rose. So yes, I did get to see Fallout Season 2. If you didn't see, me and my buddy Phoenix, we did an entire video review impression of Fallout Season 1. Go check that out if you want. That's on my Inner ChazmaN live channel. You can see that probably further down in the Inner ChazmaN podcasts videos. That's an old video at this point, but we had a good time. I think we talked for about an hour and a half on our impressions with Fallout Season 2 or Season 1. But yeah, I kind of got to talk to my buddy Phoenix, and at the same time, we both started watching Fallout Season 2. So what did I think about Fallout Season 2? I will readily admit, I think I liked this more than Season 1. I really didn't, because I tell you, even though I liked Season 1, it wasn't perfect, and it had some things in there that I wasn't like totally in love with. And also Season 2 kind of does a lot of samey things that it kind of takes off. I will say Season 2, I would say the big problems I ended up having with this is I felt as though you had maybe 4 to 5 different plot elements or plot stories kind of happening all at the same time. I guess I'll go ahead and explain that. Throughout most of Season 2, you have one plot element, which ends up being Walton Goggins, or the ghoul, along with what's her name? It starts with an L. Oh, why am I can't think of her name. Lucy. Okay, Lucy McLean. Shoot, sorry. So yeah, you have this one plot element. You have Lucy McLean along with Walton Goggins, and then you also had, here's another plot element, which is the vaults. Down in the vaults, there is still life and stuff kind of going on between all of the vaults that were still down there from where Lucy and Norm and them came from. So you have Lucy and the Ghoul. You've got life still down in the vaults. You've also got the Norm storyline, which, let's see if we can show you part of Norm's story. Where's Norm? Norm is the brother character. I cannot find Norm. He's not in this trailer. Alright, I'm not going to try. Oh no, there he was, I think. So there's Norm. So we got 3, and then there was also additional storyline of Max and all of the Brotherhood of Steel stuff. There he is. There's Max. So you have like 4 storylines kind of all happening at once. And I will say probably my biggest problem with the show is that I only feel like maybe 2 of them are interesting. Unfortunately, I would say the Norm storyline, throughout season 2, I would say I didn't particularly care for. I like the actor. I think he does a great job. I just kind of wish they would do more with his story. It ends up kind of maybe I'll try and keep it to a minimum on spoilers, but he ends up kind of getting out of the vault when he's kind of stuck in the one management. Gosh, I'm gonna be terrible at remembering aspects of the show, but because it's probably been about 3 weeks since I watched it, since this aired and we finished it, but yeah, it just kind of concludes with him opening, or not, doesn't conclude. Throughout the season, he just ends up opening up all of the pods that all of these management or employees of Vault Tech. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. You have all these Vault Tech employees and managers. He opens them up, kind of manipulates them, not manipulates them, but doesn't tell them everything, and kind of utilizes their different skill sets to help him get out of the vault that he ended up getting stuck in at the end of season 1. His storyline throughout the season to me is pretty dull again. He kind of end up, out of the group, he ends up finding a girlfriend, and those people end up having how their stuff concludes to me is kind of sucks, because there ends up being this part where they're kind of in a Vault Tech building, and it's kind of built up that it's like Radroach infested, or Radroach, infested to the core. And you think there's going to be some really cool way that if you don't know, he ends up kind of the group of Vault Tech employees that he releases, or he utilizes to help him get out of the vault when they get further down. They end up finding out that he isn't part of their original group. He kind of manipulates them, and they get mad about that, and they like try and kill him or want to sacrifice him to something, and it just becomes this cool thing where him and his like newfound kind of girly friend that's from that group, where you think there's going to be some cool thing where he's going to come up with a cool plan to utilize the rad roaches in some way or get rid of everyone, and it ends up being like the most basic thing. The people essentially get themselves killed by the rad roaches, and so his plot ended up being really bad. The whole plot with that's going on down in the vaults, I really didn't care about. They're kind of rehashing a storyline from one of the original. I never played the original Fallout games, but there's something about a water device that kind of breaks or something, causing the multiple vaults that are connected to start running low on water. So it's cool because technically the idea of what's going on down there is a throwback to the original games, but I don't know, I didn't particularly care for a lot, because they have like this storyline with this one lady that ends up being I guess it is kind of interesting because she ends up kind of being a bad guy. She ends up being the vault overseer of one of the vaults. Let's see if I can find her, just so I can I don't remember her character. Where are you at, lady? Is this her right here? Yeah, this is her. Oh, well, that was her running away from something. But the interesting part I would say about that ends up being super funny is that she ends up being Canadian, which it ends up being this whole big thing where it's like she knows like a bunch of secrets about Hank, Hank is the father of Lucy, and it ends up being kind of interesting because kind of similar again to the previous stories of the original games. There ends up being, was it FMV or something? There's some course, there's some kind of experimentation that's going on with Lucy and Norm's vault that she knows about that no one else knows about, and it ends up coming out that she actually is like Canadian or something, and the entire like people down there in super funny fashion turn on her because she ends up being Canadian. And I guess in this weird Fallout futuristic thing, Canadians like it's always been a thing of like communism being such a terrible thing, and like I guess the Canadians are kind of put into like death camps, or they're putting in their work camps or something, and it's just such a weird and interesting dynamic. Again, this is the only interesting aspect though I will say about what's going on down in the vaults is just the whole evil Canadian thing that's going on. Other than that though, everything to me is super boring. It has to do with like them running low on water, and people are like almost rebelling against the vault overseer of the vault connected to the one she's running. Again, very bad. It kind of resolves in my opinion, in kind of an unsatisfying way. And then yeah, just kind of getting back to Max and stuff. I feel like Max ends up being slightly more interesting. There ends up being kind of ties to the Enclave and stuff like that, or not Enclave, but the Brotherhood of Steel over in the region of Boston, right? The one, oh gosh, I can't remember because there's all these different types of Brotherhood of Steel of groups, and that's in my opinion that's a fairly interesting point because part of the season is you end up seeing like a lot of politics amongst the Brotherhood of Steel groups, which I think is fairly interesting. They're like trying to fight off a war, which luckily does end up kind of breaking out amongst all of the groups simply because of stuff that gets stolen by Max and some of his friends. But yeah, again, I mean, even though I will say that the Max stuff is like the second more interesting plot device, it still was kind of so-so. I will say like one of the big things I do love about this show is even if it's not perfect, kind of similar to season 1, it you know, it's not like everything is super entertaining, which I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, is even though there's a lot of stuff that like isn't perfect, it's not like my ideal way of maybe consuming some aspects of the Fallout universe. It at least is like super entertaining, and I will say Walton Goggins as the Ghoul is like the absolute best thing that the show has like could have done, was to get him. He is like eating up the screen like 24/7. He's by far is the most interesting character in the show, and he is like, I hate to say it, but like if you like put him across the table from the Lucy character and actor, nothing against her, she's fine, but he is like carrying the show, you know, as opposed to everybody else. Like, I don't like completely love the Max character. Lucy's fine. Again, the other plot elements are so-so. Far and away the best aspect of this season 2 is everything with the Ghoul, everything with Mr. House, with the Enclave. I think Clancy Brown ends up being the president, which I love that guy as an actor. Everything involved with like the flashbacks to like what's going on with him, his wife, and all the Enclave, and again the stuff with Mr. House and Vault Tech. I would say far and away all of that stuff is the most interesting, and definitely I would say that's definitely the stuff that's like keeping me coming back. You know, it really is great, and I will say like even Las Vegas itself, I feel like New Vegas is a little underwhelming and disappointing to an extent, but I don't know. Even though it's a little underwhelming, I will say I really do appreciate. I like Clancy Brown, says Odin Assaulty. Yeah, he's in the show. He plays a very small part. I'm assuming his part is going to be much bigger in season 3 than it is season 2. Season 2, you kind of see him for just a hot second, and it's just like, oh, Clancy Brown. Okay, his season's over. Or his scene's over, I mean. If you don't know, Clancy Brown is, who is he? He's Mr. Krabs, right? He voices Mr. Krabs. I love Clancy. But there's other big actors that show up randomly. If I didn't mention it before, Ron Perlman is in season 2. I won't say who he plays, but Ron Perlman shows up, and it's very obvious to me it was Ron. Love Ron. Great to see him. If you don't know, his connections with the Fallout universe are historical. You know, with him voicing him doing the narrating in Fallout 3. You know, the whole war never changes stuff. So it was great to see him still involved with the universe, and I really appreciated it. There also is another character, another person. This is probably the one that, to me, may not have come across as the best, I will say. Let me see if I can find... Oh, there he is. So, Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin shows up in this, and he is a part of the... Oh, what's the name of the group? It's Legion something. I just know Clancy having a role. Hank and Detroit Become Human, says Skylar. Oh, that's right. He did play a character. Yeah, he did. I mainly know him as Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. Hey there, Mr. Squidward. He does such a great Mr. Krabs. He is Mr. Krabs. I guess that's why he does a great one. But yeah, Macaulay Culkin shows up, and he's a part of the Legion. And it's just like... Even though I love Macaulay, I kind of feel like he's like the one that kind of doesn't... He stands out from everybody else. Maybe that's the point, is they wanted an actor who just felt so out of place with the role. But I'm telling you, he's like very out of place with the role. Love him. I kind of wish they would have got someone else, but either way, I'm happy to see Macaulay, getting work. Not that he needs it. I'm sure he's doing fine. Him and who's his girlfriend? His girlfriend's another actor as well. What's her name? I'm sure they're doing fine. What is her name? I feel like I should know her name. Oh well, it's not important. But yeah, so how everything... Oh, we also get like a huge Deathclaw battle in this season. Love all of that. That was really cool. I feel like it could have been better in terms of how it goes down. There's like a huge battle with Deathclaws, but it was fine in terms of like what we got. It could have been much better. I still very much enjoyed it though. I will say there's probably a little bit too much like CGI in terms of the Deathclaws. I guess maybe like asking for why can't I think of the word, actual equipment or actual props and stuff might have been too much to ask for. Maybe that's a lost art form and everyone's just using CGI now on everything. But I thought they looked okay. They were cool. But yeah, I would, I'll wrap it up. Like I really enjoyed season 2. It's not perfect. It definitely is better than season 1, I would say, in my opinion. And there is still a lot of stuff that they are building on. They kind of resolve a couple of things at the end of season 2, but there's still a lot of open questions about what is happening and where people are. I don't want to say too much, but there is still the continuation of Walton Goggins and his family, his wife and daughter story. That is still moving on. I won't say the particulars of that, but yeah, even though, again, as I was saying, there are heavily plot lines and story arcs that are like disappointing, that aren't super exciting. Even with all of that, the quality of like the shows, the environments, a couple of the actors, everything is super quality. You definitely see the money that's like being spent on the show, which I appreciate. And there's a lot of like lore based stuff, and that is just so neat, and it's just so Fallout. So I liked it, didn't love it. I think I slightly liked it more than season one. I recommend it if you're just, again, if you're a Fallout fan, go check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. I really enjoyed it. So, what are we at? Almost an hour 30. I don't feel like there's anything I else need to say about Fallout. I enjoyed it. Go check it out if you just want more Fallout or Fallout in general. I will say it is a little odd if you're not a Fallout fan. I would say it might be kind of harder to watch the show. Mainly because there's some stuff that's very confusing and off-putting, but I would say if you're a Fallout fan, you should very much be enjoying this. And we do get some resolution with the Lucy McLean character and her father. That was an open-ended thing at the end of season one. Was getting or her catching up with her father to figure out why he did what he did. Maybe bringing him to justice or killing him. That does get resolved at season two, in good and bad ways. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide if you like that or not. I thought it was fine. But yeah, I'm excited for season three. Again, this is definitely a show that I've been enjoying through and through, and I'm excited to see more. Again, if nothing else, if you don't like some of the plot stuff, there's really cool world building. There's really cool monster designs, and I don't know. I love weird sci-fi, and I feel like this has it's Fallout. It's Fallout-y Fallout goodness, you know. And that's it. Thank you so much. We're gonna move on. So what else? I've got two more topics here for you guys for today. I'm glad I kept Fallout short. I really didn't have a lot to say. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know. I feel like that topic is kind of in the past. So I've got one major thing to talk about. All right, so I'll talk about this thing, and maybe we'll call this one a night. But I feel like this one is one of the biggest things that I'm very excited to chit-chat with y'all about today. Let me fix my hair. My hair is starting to pop down now. Okay, I'm ready for y'all. All right, y'all. So, something I've really... This is probably the one thing I'm mad that I didn't get to talk with you guys sooner about. But, if you don't know, I finished a new book. I finished another book. A book that I had been working on for a while. If you guys don't know, in the last 4 or 5 months, I've been working my way through the entire Lord of the Rings series. And I've done a video kind of talking on all of them. Let's see. So we started off, of course, with The Hobbit. Started off with The Hobbit, then we moved straight into Fellowship. I read The Two Towers, and guess what? Guess what that means? That's right. Just within the last week or two, I finally finished Return of the King. So that means I finished all 4 of the Tolkien books, except for the Silmarillion. Again, that's not officially a Tolkien book. That's his son who came up with like a compendium of all of his ideas and lore and stuff. So that technically is his son's work, not his work. So as for everything Lord of the Rings based, I would say that was written by him. I've read. I think he did do other books. I'm not quite sure what other books he did write though, but I do know he did write some things other than Lord of the Rings. I'd have to look that up But as far as the main 4 Lord of the Rings, well, I guess The Hobbit technically isn't Lord of the Rings, but as far as his main Middle Earth books, I have finished them all. And what are my thoughts? What are my thoughts kind of on Return of the King? I really love this book. If you don't know, I wasn't super hot on The Two Towers, which is crazy because honestly, The Two Towers is far and away my favorite of the movies. Well, I should say far and away. There are times when I think it's my favorite, and then there's other times where I'm like, no, I like Fellowship more or something like that. I would say for the most part, I go back and forth, but I really love The Two Towers as a movie. It's one of my more favorites of the series, which is all the more surprising that, again, coming off of The Two Towers, I didn't think The Two Towers book was anywhere near as good as The Fellowship or this, now that we've read Return of the King. Far and away, I thought, in my opinion, Fellowship, far and away, in my opinion, out of the 3 books, is the best one. I really enjoyed Return of the King. It's probably close to as good as Fellowship is, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't mean to make this a Two Towers discussion, but really enjoyed the Return of the King. I have a nice little list here to try and keep my thoughts in order as to, again, one of my favorite things to do here when talking Lord of the Rings is to try and more focus on some of the differences between the movie and the books, because I feel like that's like the most interesting aspect of it. I'm sure people have been analyzing and reviewing Lord of the Rings for probably 100 years now or something. But so let's take a look. Let me get my thoughts in order. Talking Return of the King. So chapter 1 would be Minas Tirith. So right off the dome, what are my thoughts on Minas Tirith when Gandalf and Pippin kind of go, they leave Rohan, make their way to Minas Tirith because they have something to do. So immediately, I guess, kind of focusing on, oh gosh, what's his name? Denethor. Focusing in on Denethor, there is one major thing. Let me see if I can find Denethor here. No, I don't see Lord Denethor. Oh well. Alright, so Denethor. The main difference I would say, a main difference I would say immediately with Denethor when you run into him in season 1 with Gandalf and Pippin is they definitely, again, I don't inherently have a problem with it, but you can definitely tell throughout all of the movies and books that I've read and watched, Peter Jackson definitely made things more dramatic. There are a lot of different plot elements that are over exaggerated, or there's a ton of drama and emotion thrown in, which again, Peter's whole goal with the movies was he's trying to movie them. He's trying to make them as cinematic and as drama filled as he can. So there's no surprise here that one big thing that they changed a little bit in the movies versus the book is Denethor here is far more in the movie or in the book. He's a bit more dialed back and I would say professional to an extent in some cases, and some not. In some cases he still is like he is in the movie, but I would say he's just dialed back a touch. He's not as crazy as the end of the movie. I mean, in the movie he's like totally crazy. Remember, there's the scene of him eating the baby tomatoes or whatever, and he's like sitting there like. I don't think that's even in the book. I don't remember him sitting there and eating disgustingly, slobbingly, smashing those things between his nasty teeth. And he does come off as more regal, I guess, in a way. Regal in terms of like, you can see how he could be kingly or be a king in the book versus in the movie. In the movie, I don't think there's ever a moment of you being like, oh, this guy could be, yeah, I can see why he's king, or yeah, there's not one single moment like that. But in the book, I definitely think there's some parts where it's like, oh, okay, I can see he's very smart, very intelligent, he's just corrupted, which I think that's probably the best thing that that you could have done in the book, is show that he is a flawed individual, but is extremely intelligent, does have battle prowess. There's multiple times when it's referenced his how he has been in wars, has fought himself. He's just been corrupted, and he even admits at one point that he's been corrupted mainly through a Palantir, same as SORUS. But yeah, I like Denethor. I think I like Denethor more in the book because I like that he is made to actually be a king, which he's supposed to be, the king of Minas Tirith. So that is one thing I liked. Denethor, I at least felt like was an improvement over himself, in than in the movie. Another one, the next chapter would be the passing of the Great Company. So if you don't remember in the movies, Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, they end up going into what was it called? I forget the exact. The Path of the Dead, which is like this little cave system within an area, a side of a mountain that like a lot of people don't go into because people don't come out. And essentially, the whole thing is that Aragorn is trying to, because he is the rightful heir of what's his sword? Anduril. He is the rightful heir of Anduril. He is the rightful king. He is the son of Isildur, or a descendant of Isildur. He is a descendant of the men of Numenor and stuff. So Aragorn is like the only person who can command these, or he's supposed to be the only person who can command these ghostly apparitions that are of representations of former men who, I think they ended up being cursed by one of the former kings because he requested them to come to battle, and they didn't come to his aid, and they essentially got cursed because they didn't come to his aid. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. It's not going to be here, is it? Anyways, but yeah, so essentially these men in this cave system end up being cursed because they didn't come. They were supposed to come to the aid of the king at the time, and he curses them. So the only person who can lift their curse is a descendant of Isildur, or the rightful heir, or the rightful king of Middle Earth or whatever of the region. And in the movie, it ends up being that like he gets all of the or we'll talk about this later on. Actually, I'm moving way too far ahead. Let me try and follow my my notes here. Okay, and I should say one of the major differences that I was kind of noticeable is in the movie. Remember, it's just the three of them. It's just Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas that go into the mountain and seek the dead. Whereas in the book, it's like an entire like group of people, like a company of people that he brings. He brings like, I think it's this. Is it like a group of the Rangers? Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think it's a group of the Dunedain Rangers they like follow him because they're trying to join the battle with him as well. And so there's a lot more going on. The whole section actually during the Path of the Dead goes on and on, I should say, in the book. Like in the movie, it seems very quick. They kind of go in and immediately they enter the wide open area, and that's where they talk to the king, or whoever the king of the dead is. Whereas in the book, they're like just continuously walking through this cave system, and it feels like a while till they get to. So again, that's a small difference. Is there's a big company of them, and there's a lot of like, I don't know. It almost seems as though there was like a town and multiple villages in the cave system that actually had people there. I don't know. I don't know what I was reading, but I felt like that's what was implicated. Whereas in the movie, it's very quick. They go in. Oh, ghost, you must fight for me. He goes, what's the line? Oh gosh, I'm sorry, y'all. My brain's cooked a little bit. I don't know. I will say I actually think I liked the movie a little bit more in terms of this section. I just think it's a little bit more dramatized, and it's more kind of scary and in the movie simply because there's less of the company that kind of goes in there, and then I feel like the section of him talking to the king is a lot better in the movie than in the book. I don't really remember it too well, but yeah, I liked it. I liked it more in the movie. That's one of the few moments I will say that I feel like. I think for the most part, you've probably noticed that like I've thought for the most part of the book chapter does it better than the movie. This is probably one of the few ones that I'm like, I think I liked how the movie did it a little bit better. Another chapter, the muster of Rohan. I will say, so I have it noted that this one plays it very close to the vest in terms of the movie, or the movie played it very close to the best in terms of the book. But one big difference that I will say, and I don't remember, I think this is the same chapter, if I remember off the top of my head. One big difference that I did really enjoy here is you get to see Theoden. He musters the Rohirrim and all of this stuff, or I guess he musters Rohan in general. But there's a lot more detail in how he does this. Whereas like in the movies, he ends up kind of just gathers up his fleet and then just bam, he's at Minas Tirith like that. Whereas in this chapter, it's far more. Let me see if I can pull it up. Some of the Rohirrim. Whereas like in this chapter, it's far more detailed and intricate, and you actually get to see Theoden kind of riding around and mustering up all of the troops. He's going to like different villages, and gathering up his leaders from all around the region. I think if I recall, they end up finding it's a very weird section, but they end up finding a group of like natives or something, natives that like don't even speak English, but they're the natives of this weird like a forest. But these natives like they understand that there's an imminent threat coming to destroy everyone, and they decide to somehow help them out, and their skill set is like sneaking around and gathering information. And it's really cool, again, like all of the different ways that Theoden is mustering not just his troop, but mustering like the entire region's battle and forces to go and join him in the fight against Sauron's, siege of Gondor that's kind of happening here. Which, speaking of the siege of Gondor, that is the next chapter. Let's see. So from what from what I understand, from what I wrote, this chapter plays it very close to the vest in terms of. I mean, there are subtle differences, but from what I recall, I think this one kind of happens just like in the movie. There was one difference. What is the one difference I remember? It has something to do with Denethor and how Denethor reacts. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to follow my notes as best as I can. Alright, so I'll skip this one. I don't see any differences that I actually put down. Oh, okay. So there is one thing I did want to mention. I actually think this is something that's done far more, in a more cool way in the book than what happens in the movie. If you don't remember, Éowyn, when she initially joins the fight, remember she throughout like the series or the second movie and in particular, or the second book and the movie and then the third, it becomes a recurring theme of her saying that her worst fear is dying alone or dying in a cage, locked in a cage or something. For the rest of time or something. She doesn't want to be caged. She doesn't want to be held down and told she has to be this type of lady. She actually like she wants to be a warrior and things of the sort. And in the movie, maybe because it's a movie and there's no choice but giving it away. But there comes a point where as Denethor as Theoden is gathering up his forces, he ends up essentially telling Pippin, because Pippin wants to join his fight. He's like, well, this Middle Earth is my home too. I want to fight. And Theoden and Eomer essentially tell him, no, you're too small. You can't make a difference. And it ends up being a really cool rallying cry of like, as he's like being let down about joining the fight, Eowyn shows up in a costume, like a warrior's costume, and her and Pippin kind of are on this same horse, kind of riding into battle, and it ends up becoming this really cool, like, unifying thing between them two, where it's like they're both, one's a woman, one's a short hobbit. They're both kind of overlooked. I want to say overlooked because they're both important, but in terms of like being the stereotypical battle hardened male warrior, they don't quite fit those roles. And it ends up just being this really cool unifying scene where Eowyn picks him up and she goes, ride with me or something, and he goes, my lady or something. And it's like this really cool camaraderie building thing where they're both going into battle, something that they haven't been told is something they shouldn't be doing. When this is more now in the movie, it's more obvious that this is Eowyn that picks him up as she's riding by him. But I will say in the book, why it's more interesting is it's far easier to keep up someone's costume or someone's. It's far easier for someone to hide their identity, and it's way more cool because I don't remember the name of the character, but there's this random character name, and this person picks up Pippin, joins him in fight, and throughout the Battle of Pelennor Fields, it's really cool because Pippin is fighting with this person who he thinks is another warrior, and I think he even admits, he says, "Oh, the warrior's has a fair face" or something, kind of alluding to but and you don't end up finding out that it's actually Eowyn until like way later in the fight, versus in the movie you kind of know the whole time, oh, it's Eowyn, she's joined Pippin with the fight. Again, I like in the book, I do kind of like it in the book a little bit more, how that surprise is a bigger deal and more, no one, you don't see it coming, that is Eowyn and she's helping Pippin out in the fight. I will say a subtle difference here is in the major battle of Pelennor Fields, when you get to the section of Eowyn and the Witch King of Angmar, when they're doing battle out in the field, where essentially King Theoden is murdered, killed by the Witch King. A subtle difference here is it's a little less cool for Eowyn, I guess I should say. I don't even think the famous line from the movie is in the book, which is the Witch King of Angmar saying, "No man can kill me," and then she stands up and she says, "I am no man," and she stabs him, and whatever. I don't think that happens in the book from what I recall. In fact, I think they kind of allude to the fact that the entire time that Theoden is on the ground dying, he doesn't even realize that Eowyn is there, whereas in the movie Eowyn's like crying above him and is like, "Oh, my king," you know what I mean. But yeah, in the book instead it's like Pippin that's kind of there consoling him as he's dying, and then Eomer kind of shows up last second to see the post what's happened. But yeah, again, Eowyn, I feel like she kind of gets done a little dirty, I guess I would say, in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Like, she is there, she plays a huge part, it is cool to see her fighting. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a little bit of the emotional stuff with her and Theoden are like almost totally non-existent towards the latter end of the movie. Again, I don't even think Theoden even realizes that's her that's there. He like doesn't acknowledge her at all, which you would think he would. So yeah, that's a subtle difference again that I felt like, I don't know. I just wasn't. I think I preferred how the movie did it, is all I'll say. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention, the what was it called? The the army. Oh, the Army of the Dead. So, the Battle of Pelennor Fields. In the movie, if you don't remember, the Army of the Dead essentially wipes out the entire battle of the Pelennor Fields. They essentially win the entire fight for Aragorn and everyone. Hey, there's a Cairo in action in the Twitch chat. Says, yo, what's good, Brody? How's it going? Just followed you. Hey, appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you over there. Sorry, I normally just kind of follow my YouTube chat primarily, so I'm pretty bad. I normally follow my Twitch chat on my phone. My phone's dead right now, so appreciate you following Cairo in action. If you wanted to better follow some of the chat, yeah, maybe you can check me out on the YouTube side, but I'll try and keep up. It's hard to keep track of multiple chats for me. The chat up on screen, that's my YouTube, so. But we're just chilling. Today's my Thursday night, and typically on Thursday night we kind of just shoot the you-know-what, mess around. Oh yeah, but as I was saying, a big difference between the book and the movie is essentially the Army of the Dead. They don't win the entire, in the book, they don't win the entire battle for Aragorn. Essentially, from what I recall, I think the Army of the Dead is only utilized to take down the boats of incoming human soldiers that are coming in, and that's essentially all they do. I think I don't even think they actually make it to the ghosts make it onto Pelennor Fields. In fact, I would say a large amount of the battle, by the time Aragorn and the others get there, largely the battle is like close to the end already. Which again, a little different than the movie. In the movie, when Aragorn and them get there, the battle is like underway and is in the middle. I feel like when Aragorn and them get there, the battle is like mostly over. And don't get me wrong, they still play a huge part, because them and the Army of the Dead like take out like a large amount of ships that are coming in from a specific direction, and those ships could end up turning the tide in the fight. So I'm not saying that the Army of the Dead don't play a big role. They do, but they just don't win the entire fight for everybody, which is interesting. Because remember, in the movies, the Army of the Dead just kind of shows up, and then it's like, boom, battle's over. They win it all for everybody. But yeah, that's one subtle difference. I guess, which one would I say I liked more? I don't know if it really matters all that much. I guess it's more it's a little cooler to kind of see the Army of the Dead kind of running through the battle and taking out everybody. So maybe I'll say maybe it's a little more cool to see the Army of the Dead do its thing. It's definitely more high action packed. Let's see. Yeah, I'll skip the Pyre of Denethor. I feel like that was fairly close to the book. Okay, so we're going to touch on the House of Healing chapter. So this chapter, from what I recall, is largely a lot of the post-events of the fight. Why this chapter, I would say, is fairly important is, I would say, versus the movie, they play up the relationship between Faramir and Éowyn much more here. Again, in kind of the movie, it feels kind of sudden. There's just this one scene where Faramir is like looking, I think he looks upon Éowyn kind of longingly, and that's really all I remember in the movie. And then the next thing you know, they're dating, or they look like they're in a relationship. Whereas here in the book, it's like a very extended section of them, Faramir like consoling her, because remember, she's coming off her Pippin and Faramir are also coming off of like near-death experiences, and they're like very affected by the battle. Faramir, because his father Denethor almost kills him by burning him alive. Éowyn, of course, because when she goes to stab the Witch King of Angmar, she essentially becomes cursed by when he dies, he passes on some sort of curse through the sword. Same thing with Pippin. Pippin is also cursed by the Witch King of Angmar because he stabs him in the leg, and that stabbing curses him as well. So all three of them kind of build like a certain level of camaraderie because they're all afflicted by something, and they're all healed also by Aragorn, which is kind of cool. He like plays like a doctor in this scene or in this part. But yeah, like I said, that's really the only big thing, is that I feel like the relationship between Faramir and Eowyn is it's just better here. There's far more of them talking, of you can definitely see like the personalities coming out between the two characters. Eowyn is clearly like the more emotional. She wants to not listen and kind of do her own thing, kind of not heed her like doctor's orders and stuff. And Faramir is much more kind of even keel. He's the more I don't say more, but he's a very thoughtful person, and he's just like, listen, you want to try and help out, but in your state you would be doing less than, or you would be more of a hindrance right now. Why not take some time, rest up, listen to your doctors, and that'll speed in how quickly you can get back in and help us out with fixing everything. And he really placates. He really plays into like, he's just I really enjoy Faramir. I feel like Faramir in the movies got kind of done a little dirty. I feel like here he's far more just like, he's like a very he's just very kingly. I can't think of another word. He's a very astute. He's very like thoughtful, I would say. He clearly like cares about Eowyn, and I mean, it happens it's still in the book, it still happens fairly fast, but I feel like just as opposed to his brother Boromir, I feel like Faramir is definitely, he just comes off as more kingly. I don't know, Boromir is definitely the better fighter, but like I feel like in the books they play Faramir to like, it's almost weird. Like here I feel like it's more a weird seeing why his father treated him the way he did, when it's like Faramir is a pretty kingly guy. I don't know why he didn't get as much recognition and love as you might think. But yeah, that's all I had for that. Let's see, the last debate, council discusses blah blah blah. Okay, so we'll skip that one. The Black Gate. That one's similar to the movie. The Tower of Sith and Gaul. Or yeah, same thing. Land of Shadow. Why don't we go ahead and just try and wrap this up? We'll start. Let me move further down, and we'll. No, I wanted to stay on that cool frame. There we go. So yeah, I mean, I'm going through my chapters, and for the most part, all of the chapters seem like they happen very similar to the book. There is this particular section, which I think I'm just going to shoot straight down to. All right, you know what? Let's just go straight to one of the more interesting aspects, I would say. I will say one of the biggest, I almost said hugest. One of the biggest differences between, I would say, the book and the movie, and something that I think was a huge mistake not to include, is a lot of the stuff that pertains to post. So, I mean, again, I'm not going to get into the specifics. We all know ring gets destroyed, good guys win. But kind of jumping ahead in the future, there is an entire section of kind of just, there's multiple chapters of detailing the post events and how things wrap up and conclude and stuff of the sort. And what is super interesting here, again, this is something that I cannot believe was left out of the movie. Again, I understand Peter only had a certain amount of time for directing, probably was told to keep the movie a certain length, but so as it turns out, I will say, the Ents and the Tree Folk, they were meant to keep Sauron stuck in the tower, right? Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the tower. I don't know. In the big tower, I can't remember the name of the tower. But as it turns out, the Ents end up kind of being like, well, we're not very mean or something. And as it turns out, Saruman and Wormtongue end up getting out and taking off, right? And so all of our heroes, their entire company, they're all returning back to their homeland. They're all going back. Some to well, the hobbits are obviously going back to the Shire, and some are returning back to. Gosh, I can't think of the name. Wow, I'm too tired for this. What is the place where Elrond lives? It's Rivendell. Rivendell. Oof. Some are returning to Rivendell. Others return to the Shire. Everyone's going back to their home. Aragorn is deemed king. Him and Arwen finally, they tie the knot. Eowyn and a farmer tie the knot, and Aragorn stays with he stays to rule Minas Tirith. He's now the king of Middle Earth and all that goodness, right? So all of our heroes, Gandalf, the hobbits, Gimli, Legolas, all of our main crew, they're all returning home back to their homeland. And there's this really cool scene as I keep saying scene. Could it be a scene? It's in a book. There's a really cool section where as they are returning home on the side of the road, they find a beggar, and the beggar ends up being Saruman, which ends up being a really cool section. Because again, by this point in the movie, Saruman's dead, right? He died on the tower, or he ends up being stabbed by Wormtongue because Wormtongue gets mad at him because he's so mean to him, and Saruman dies there at oh gosh, it's gonna kill me until I figure out the name of Saruman's tower. Hold on. It is Isengard. Oh my goodness, I couldn't think of the word Isengard. Originally we all know Saruman dies at Isengard. Well, in the movie, he dies at Isengard. Wormtongue dies there. But again, in the book, it's cool because they end up escaping Isengard, getting past the Ents, and our heroes on their way home, they end up seeing a beggar. The beggar ends up being Saruman and Wormtongue, and it's just a really cool section of Saruman just knowing that, or thinking that they're there to gloat and to rub it in his face that he's lost and that he's now nothing. And our heroes are like so nice and so friendly and are understanding, and they're like oh, they're not rubbing in his face. They're being as courteous as one can be, and he's just such an a-hole douchebag about the entire thing. And I think there ends up being a thing with the pipe weed where, if you remember, they like smoked all of his pipe weed and his beef jerky and his ale or whatever he was storing at Isengard, or Pippin and Merry, consumed all of that. And he ends up being like super butthurt about this, and Mary, I think, ends up being apologetic and offers him a bag of pipeweed that they took from his storage, and he like takes it and then like immediately curses them out. Like, he's just like such an a-hole about the whole thing, and he like curses them on their when he's leaving them, and talking about how they're gonna get what's coming to them and stuff of the sort. And just there's this really cool section of when our hobbits finally get back to the Shire, or the land of... no, not the Shire, Hobbiton. I think Hobbiton is the larger region where the Shire is located. And there's this entire section of like while they were gone, or I should say before we get there, they're in Bree and a couple of the other areas outside of Hobbiton. You can kind of see some people. There's like talk of people being afraid of like, not bandits, but there's just like a weird tension, and everyone's on edge because it's almost like a police state or something that's kind of happening here, which is kind of interesting. So everyone's on edge, like there clearly is something wrong. So our friends, when they get back to Hobbiton, they immediately find out that there's been like a hostile takeover of like some sort of dictator or something for the region, and he is like taking all the resources. Again, all this is excluded from the movie, but he is like taking all the resources. He's choosing what people can sell, what they can't sell, what they can do during the at all times essentially, and he has like roving gangs or groups of humans, like full-size men that are kind of walking around and are acting uh, uh, like Gestapo, like police, kind of going around and taking people's resources, roughing them up if they feel like it. And it's just very cool. It's very interesting. I mean, once again, you can kind of definitely see if you don't know J.R.R. Tolkien himself, I guess, kind of speaking on Gestapo. I don't know why it kind of ties in, but if you don't know, J.R.R. Tolkien was a veteran himself, in his younger days. I think he was in World War One or World War Two, so you can definitely see when he was writing some of this stuff. You can definitely see like the connection between some of the world wars of the time. You can again, I mentioned Gestapo, which now that I think about it, that could very well where he pulled the inspiration for what's going on in Hobbiton at this point in time. He could very well have been looking at things like Gestapo and dictators and stuff. But it's just very interesting because like the hobbits are essentially almost enslaved, not enslaved, but very close to it, and all the hobbits in the Shire and everything, they all like answer to like this new head honcho that's stepped in and is ruling the region, and it ends up just being this. Oh gosh, why this section is so important that it makes me upset that it was left out of the movie. Let me try and find where the hobbits are. Okay, so why it's so cool and why it's so important is it shows like the character progression of the hobbits at this point. If you don't remember, when they leave the Shire, the four of them, they're not warriors, they're like regular farmers, or I guess farmer in terms of Sam, but some of them are farmers. They're all just regular town folk who aren't like super macho, fighters. And when they come back to Hobbiton, when they come back to their home area, being like completely ran by like a Gestapo dictator regime or something that's kind of happening there, with like again roving gang members who are like collecting revenue from people because they owe it, or they're saying, no, this store, we don't want you selling alcohol anymore, because all the alcohol we're taking for ourselves, which again, that's essentially what's happening here. But essentially why it's so cool, why the hobbits, why this chapters are so cool, this chapter I should say is so cool, is because it shows the character progression. Like when the four hobbits come back, they like enter this region and are like adorned in like this very expensive and wealthy battle armor that's gifted to them from kings of kings, like people like Aragorn and stuff. So they are like entering the Hobbiton in like ultimate warriors attire and gear. So they look really cool, they look really tough, they have like great swords, great armor and everything. And it's just really interesting because like they end up dealing with a couple of the larger, again, the people that are like running this area are like full size humans. They're not like hobbits. So there's a reason why a lot of the hobbits and Hobbiton are afraid of these guys, because they're huge, they're gigantic, they're huge people to them, and they're aggressive and they're jerks and running everything, ruining everything as well. And it's just cool because there's a section of like the hobbits, our four friends, like they're almost like puffing their chest out a little bit, and I wouldn't say they're being jerks about anything, the hobbits, but they're very not assured, they're very sure, they're very confident. they're extremely confident because now they're like, again, they're not a-holes about this, but they're just like, they know that what's happening here is wrong. They know it's not how the region's supposed to be, and they want to change it, and they just know that they have to fight to change it. So it's just really cool because like there's this entire like just chapter of like the hobbits just going around to all of the regions of Hobbiton, rallying the forces of hobbits and rallying all these different hobbit people, and they end up creating like I think it's like a 400 or 500 hobbit army essentially, between all of these hobbits, like the proud feet, the Tooks, the people of the Shire. You have like the Brandy, is it Brandy? The Brandy Bucks. You have like all of these different families of the Baggins. You have all these different families of hobbits from the different regions, and it's really cool just to see like they like rally the troops to gather all these people who are tired of being oppressed essentially. And there's an entire war that happens in Hobbiton, in the Shire, I should say. In particular, in the Shire, there's a war that's not in the movies, and it's so cool because you have like a war of like 100 of these the people from this like a Gestapo gang versus like 500 of these hobbits, and like they like the hobbits like brutalize these 100 people and kill like all of them, or kill and imprison, you know, some of them as well, and it's just really cool. They like do that, and then when they eventually get to the leader, Frodo and all the others, the leader, as you might guess, it's Saruman. Saruman and Wormtongue end up being like the head honchos of this whole thing. So essentially, after leaving, although the timing's a little weird how Saruman was able to get there before, maybe he already was there before they found him on the trail. But yeah, Saruman ends up being the ringleader of the entire thing, and then the events that happen at Isengard essentially happen here. They end up not killing him and telling him, you need to leave and we better not see you ever again. And he ends up brutalizing Wormtongue for the last, and which ends up being the last straw. Then, as we know from happens in the movies in Isengard, Wormtongue gets tired of him, goes up, stabs him, kills him, and then Wormtongue gets shot by people with arrows, or hobbits with arrows, because they're like, oh no, he just killed a guy. So there you go. And that's how that story comes to a conclusion. Everything else at the end of the book, it happens exactly the way in the movie, I would say. Yeah, when it comes to him passing into oh gosh, I can't think of the name of oh, did I get rid of my notes? No, my notes are right here. The Undying Lands. Is it the Undying Lands? The Grey Havens. Isn't that the Undying Lands? I can't remember. But yeah, essentially everything in the final chapter or two are exactly like the movie. The Undying Lands, the Grey Havens. It happens exactly like that. And then that's how the movie comes to an end, or the book comes to an end, is the same fashion. Now I will say one last thing. This is my last. I'll be very quick. One last thing that I did notice that I do think is subtly different, not subtly, it is different than the movies, is it becomes a total surprise, as you might guess, that Frodo goes and joins them on their final trip to the Undying Lands, and it becomes a total shock. I would say in the book it's not a total shock, though. There is a certain dialogue section that takes place between Arwen and Frodo, where Arwen gives off the impression that she knows Frodo's not the same hobbit that he was in the past. She knows he is a forever cursed being and someone who like cannot live a normal life to an extent. So again, there's a whole where she's like, I sense this about you, Frodo. Just know, if you want. She ends up saying she ends up essentially just extending. You can join us if you'd like. You know, if you don't feel like you can continue on here. You know what I mean? And then I'm still glad in the movie that they didn't have that, just because it kind of takes away a little of the surprise at the very end of the movies and series. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's the last thing I could think of that's like a huge difference. Gosh, I gotta just talk to you guys about this was a crazy ordeal for me. I had been wanting to, because again, I have read Fellowship of the Ring before, but that's about it. I had never read the rest of the books. So I can't tell you how awesome this is that I finally got to read everything. I read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Return of the King, and did a video breakdown of like talking about all my thoughts on like each of them, which I can't tell you how cool this has been. If there's anything, of taking that extended break of not working, that's like one of the things I'll always remember is like I got to read my favorite books. Well, at the time it may not, but Nez now it already was my favorite movie series of all time, but now it's probably my favorite book series. So cool. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys had fun seeing me ramble on and on and on about this series. I promise you, I'm going to move on to something else. I'm not starting the Silmarillion anytime soon. That's probably something I will read eventually, but not anytime soon. Silmarillion, I feel like will be that's its own thing that I'm not gonna worry about for now. But yeah, I'll let you guys know what I decide to start reading next. Now that I finally got this chat out of the way, maybe I can start reading. Tell you what, I'll start a new book probably Saturday. I think Saturday night I'll start my next book. We'll see. I'll give it away. One book I'm thinking about reading. This may be too political for you guys, but I bought the book 1948, George Orwell. That's something that I've been wanting to try reading at some point. That'll probably be like the most extended political talk I'll ever talking about that book if I read it. But yeah, there's a couple things I'm thinking about maybe rereading the whole Harry Potter series. I have all those books still, and I haven't read them since probably high school. I don't know. That could be a direction. I'll definitely read them at some point. But I'm definitely curious about like the difference between reading an entire series like Lord of the Rings and then going and reading kind of like a kiddie. Not saying Harry Potter's kiddie, but compared to like these type of books, I have a feeling the Harry Potter books are going to be so short in comparison. It'd be interesting. But yeah, like I'm saying, that's probably what I'm going to do is either 1948 or go straight into Harry Potter. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm thinking maybe 1948 first, simply because Harry Potter is going to be a large undertaking. That's going to take me forever to read all those, but I think that'll be interesting too. All right, y'all. So what are we at? 2:15. I had one more video, but I think I'm going to skip on that video for now. That's about all I got. I think I'm a little tired now. Sheesh. I don't see how people do streams where they constantly talk for longer than like 2 or 3 hours. I can't do it. My throat's dry. My lips are chapped. How do people do just chatting forever? I don't know how they do it. Alright, get rid of all this. Forbidden video, says Veronica Rose. What's that? Oh, you mean oh, people going longer than... I'm not sure what you mean forbidden. Anyways, I'm tired. I need to go to bed. So what do we got going on next? Don't forget, guys, tomorrow night is another indie video game night. So we're definitely going to get back to God of War, Sons of Sparta. And then don't forget, tune in Saturday night for we're definitely going to finish Resident Evil 4. I don't think there's a heck of a whole lot left of that game. I think we're only maybe an hour or two away from finishing that game. So we'll definitely be able to finish that next stream. If that's a shorter one, maybe we'll stream something. Maybe we'll go straight into more God of War Saturday night if that ends up being a very short stream. And that's all I've really got. Don't forget, Sunday, I would say I don't have anything planned. Maybe we'll do an additional stream Sunday night. Maybe not. Yeah, that's all I really got. So let's see who to thank for today. In the YouTube chat, we had Odin is Salty, Veronica Rose, and Skylar Twilight. Thank you so much, y'all, for your support. Really happy to have y'all here. And in the Twitch chat, where did I shut off my Twitch? Who did we have in Twitch today? We had a... Shut off my Twitch. Who did we have in Twitch today? You hush up. We had a Cairo in action. Thank you so much, Cairo, for your support over there on the Twitch end. And thank you so much to the Patreon backers. Let's see, we had Skylar128, Matthew Biocrash, and Tim. Really appreciate you guys and your support. Love you, love you. Hugs and kisses, I guess. XOXO. Let's see. Scott White said today was chill. It was indeed. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate having all of y'all here. Once again, now y'all don't have to hear me talk about Lord of the Rings anymore. I made it through that entire book series, so you don't have to see me ramble. I like rambling, if you haven't noticed. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Once again, see you tomorrow night for more God of War, Sons of Sparta. Another chill stream of playing that game, and we'll see how things go. So, alright, y'all. Be good. Drink water. Don't eat right now. It's past 10 p.m. Get some good night's sleep. So, oh, I should say, while I'm thinking on it, speaking of Lord of the Rings, I set up my MegaCon. We just got my MegaCon tickets, and I got some photo ops that I'm going to be doing with some people you might have heard of by the name of Frodo and Sam. I'm going to be getting a photo with Elijah Wood and Sean Astin, which is going to be really cool. I may tear up a little bit. I'll let you guys know if I tear up. That's going to be meeting two of my favorite characters from my favorite movie and book series, so we'll see. I'll definitely take pictures and show you guys, but yeah, I'm taking pictures with Sean Astin, Elijah Wood, and then I'm also doing another photo op with Carl Urban, which is going to be fun. Carl Urban's super cool. I love him. He's also from Lord of the Rings, if you don't know. But yeah, he's cool. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for all that. So yeah, that's it. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Adios, everyone. Have fun to Sky Twilight. Oh, I am. That's next month. So we're a month away from that, and we already got our hotel. I got all my tickets. Me and my sisters, we're gonna go have some fun and chill out in Orlando for the couple of days. So bye, everybody. Have a good one. Later, laters.